This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. We got 5 games here on a Wednesday, starting at 7:30 tonight here, Grande. It's actually half hour before roster lock than usual. How are we doing, man? You did the playbook today. You got all the information. A lot of injuries on today's slate that we're talking about.
Yeah, a lot of injuries. I think it's a fun slate. I mean, there's just 2 teams that we can just completely ignore with all this injury. I feel like that makes things a lot easier when like value opens up and you can just straight up ignore stuff. And that's what we can do. Memphis and Sacramento don't even exist, in my opinion.
Just out, just completely gone.
I mean, why would we need to play a team that has 12 guys playing 18 to 26 minutes? You know, like it's just like an unnecessary thing. So the injuries have made it slightly easier, in my opinion, tonight. There's a lot of different directions to go to. But we are not a show that will root for injuries, unlike Conscious Machine. I mean, it's a little weird to comment that Ricochet outscored Jalen because there was an injury. So let's just not do that, okay? Because I think that's pretty weird. So let's avoid doing that.
He's not cheering for it. He's just joking, Grande.
Okay.
You know?
Sure.
He's just having jokes. Injuries don't discriminate from cashing. That's true. That's true.
I'm not saying they do. I just think it's a weird comment.
Anyways, we can hit that like button or take a hike is what he says. Yeah. We got thanks for the props from Jeff. You're welcome. Grande we had another okay night. Not a perfect night. Hard to be perfect back-to-back days. So we did hit some props, some plus money props last night as well. All right. On this slate, injury-wise, the notable names, obviously we had Evan Mobley get ruled out. We also had Donovan Mitchell get ruled out of this one here today as well. Some players maybe we weren't really expecting Mitchell not to suit up. There's a ton of big names, as you can see on the screen there. SGA. Harden's going to play with the broken hand. You have Scotty Barnes is questionable.
They did not clarify today, though.
Okay, so may not play today with the broken hand. But
they said, yeah, he's going to play through it, but they still said that he might sit today.
Yeah, it would feel weird that they would sit Mitchell knowing he had the broken hand, but I don't know. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they don't care. If that's the case, I mean, Bucks are plus 3.5 today. I kind of, they're going to sit everybody. You might go in that direction. Again, Harden, Barnes, Chet was questionable last night. Chet is questionable coming into
Chet's he's doubtful.
Doubtful going into this one here. So a lot of key names are questionable, doubtful, or out. I mean, again, you did the playbook today, so we'll break it down. If you guys want to hit that like, share, subscribe button, it's a free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. Always appreciated. If we are looking at the point guard position here today, James, Cade is 10-7. He's your top priced guard, and then going to go all the way down to KPJ if Harden gets ruled out at 81. From an ownership perspective today, at least as of right now, it is Rollins slightly edging KPJ, only by a couple of points here. Cade is around 13%. How are you looking at the top of the point guard position?
Yeah, I mean, you can always play Cade Cunningham. It's not an easy spot, like despite who's in and who's out for OKC. Lou Dort and Cason Wallace are both available. Those are their best 2 perimeter defenders. So, that's still a tough matchup for Cade, but he has a massive ceiling and a really good floor. So I have no problem getting to Cade at lower ownership. Does it feel necessary? No, but never going to talk you off playing Cade. If Harden plays, it's a tricky one because obviously no Mitchell and Mobley, and that matters a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a fracture. It's his thumb. Shams reported that he's gonna wear a splint or some type of guard. I don't know if it's gonna take him a little bit to get used to it. If it's going to take him no time at all to get used to it, because it's a great matchup against the bottom 10 defense with the two best players on their team not playing. So I would just by default have interest in Harden if he's playing. Obviously a little bit tricky with the thumb. It's a little bit scary to like go all in there.
Yeah.
KPJ, I covered him on the playbook. He was cover boy on the playbook tonight. We bet his PRA yesterday, bet his PRA. It's the same number again today. Put that in the bet tracker. Like Cleveland it's a great pace up spot for Milwaukee. And I even kind of talked about it on the show and in the playbook. I speculated KPJ might have ended up on the injury report today. Nope, didn't show up at all in the injury report after leaving yesterday's game early. Came back and just basically played the rest of the game and dominated. This is an elite fantasy player. Without Giannis Antetokounmpo, 27% usage, almost 1.3 fantasy points per minute. It just kind of is what it is. He plays monster minutes. The price is not like this is what his price should look like and has. Yeah. We've like been like, well, if it's under 8K, it's too cheap, and it's just continuously been under 8K, and he's continuously put up 40 plus fantasy points. And even last night gives you the ceiling, right? Like just shows you even at 81, there's a GPP winning ceiling. So, I think Rollins checking in at more ownership makes the decision that much easier for me. Like it's just going to be KPJ, who has multi-position eligibility, is only $300 more, and has just been a better fantasy player. Not that Rollins has been bad. Without Giannis this year, Rollins has a 28% usage and 1.17 fantasy points per minute in his own right. Just not as good as Kevin Porter.
No. And Rollins has been scoring. I mean, obviously last night KBJ had 32 actual. Ryan Rollins has at least 20 in 8 of the last 10 games. So he's just, being a bucket there. Below Rollins, you have quickly Fox. You mentioned, Westbrook there at 69. Golden State, Memphis. You have Golden State, Brandon Trzaskowski at 6,500, Ty Jerome at 6,100.
Yeah, I'm not really playing quickly. I guess TBD. We'll find out. It's one of the 7:30 games. We'll know about Scotty, right? RJ, we talked extensively about RJ last night, not on the injury report. So I guess he's going to play his first back-to-back since November. Scotty Barnes is listed questionable on that injury report. So we will see if TBD on basically everything Toronto. If everyone's in, there's only one player I'm getting to. I think Fox looks pretty good. We talked about it in competitive games. He has played a lot. I mean, the last two competitive games specifically, 33 and 32 minutes. That's what De'Aaron Fox does. 7K is really cheap, really good basketball player. I really don't have interest in guessing what Sacramento is going to do tonight, and I don't care to do it, so I'm not going to. Podziemski is very, very, very much in play. Had another huge night last night. They've already ruled out DeAnthony Melton. Draymond's listed questionable, which are two things that both you and I kind of talked about. We said Melton was going to play the back-to-back, and then we said definitely possible for Draymond to be on the injury report. Both those things are true. The last game that DeAnthony Melton sat, which is a little while ago, it was Podziemski that started. There was also like a very different dynamic of the team. They had like nobody available, basically, but they don't have a lot of players available. Most of their G League players are still listed out in the G. So I think Podziemski, even if he doesn't start, it doesn't matter. He's going to play a lot of minutes. We saw it last night too. Back-to-back, they didn't play Gary Payton, which is always something that they do. Like, he is a guy that has often been injured, and they don't like to really extend him on back-to-backs. They didn't. And now there's no Melton, so, less backcourt depth even than last night. So, I think Podziemski is very good. And just, salute to how good Ty Jerome has been, and wouldn't be surprising if he goes for 35 fantasy points again. I just don't care for Memphis. Kyle Anderson getting the questionable tag, and everyone else is available. They could have 12 guys tonight. Why would we even want to deal with anything there? Everyone's playing no one's playing a lot and everyone's playing some, like that is not a recipe for DFS success. So salute to some of these good fantasy point per minute guys on Memphis. I just think it's a situation I don't need or want in my life.
Sure. And like we talked about it last night, we were kind of making a joke of it. Every time we click a Memphis guy, it's like 25 minutes for this guy, so could very well be the case, or even fewer minutes for some of these players. Jerome's going to be locked into 20. Be great if you told me Jerome was going to play 25 minutes. I'd be all over that.
Yes, but there's just seems like the last guy that gets extended this year is Ty Jerome.
I would agree with you. All right, value. Reed Shepard is checking in with the ownership here today. We kind of expected that without Eamon Thompson. He and Pajemski are your top two overall, up over 40%.
Yeah, Reed just looks good. I mean, it's an elite spot against an awful defense, just an awful team in general. There's multiple directions they could go. We know Ime is always itching for a reason why Aaron Holiday should be dusted off and starting, right? Like that's just the Ime Udoka way. I think they would start Reed Shepard, but Udoka is funny. He might have seen Durant with 12 assists, and he might see Şengün's 38% assist percentage without Amen Thompson and be like, I don't need a point guard. Could have those two guys like operate the offense. So I expect Reed Shepard to start, but crazier things have happened, and coaches, he never has like grasped like this role that I think he looked like he was trending towards.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a very good play at 5K over a fantasy point per minute this year, without Amen Thompson and Steven Adams.
If we're going down any further, any other value names that stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean there's a couple that intrigue me. If Scotty Barnes were to be ruled out, I like Jamal Shed quite a bit. The minutes are trending up for him. I am keeping tabs on Cleveland, obviously. Dennis Schroeder probably would be one of the highest rostered players of the day if James Harden were to be ruled out. I think Dennis Schroeder isn't a bad option to begin with. I think
does he not take on more minutes without Mitchell, do you think, or no?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does. I think regardless of Harden's status, I think Schroeder plays a little bit more. So I'm good with Schroeder. I think Jared McCain is pretty interesting tonight. They're short, like they're not necessarily shorthanded at guard per se. It's definitely more of a front court issue with Chet basically being ruled out, Hartenstein out already. But they're down like playmaking without Dub, SGA. Hartenstein is a hub. AJ Mitchell's not available. I think that this is going to be somewhat of a ceiling game in terms of minutes. If Jared McCain can get off to like a good start offensively, we've seen in his like early Thunder days, he has a very high usage rate, like kind of similar to what he did last year in Philly, like high usage offensive player. That's what you get from Jared McCain, right? Like he is a skilled offensive talent that unfortunately went like, not unfortunate for him. I'm sure he's going to
got hurt. He was looking like the rookie of the year last year until he got hurt.
Yeah, and then he ends up in a situation like that will probably ultimately be great for his career. Just won't get to show it a lot, especially when like SGA and everybody's healthy. But none of those guys are healthy tonight. And Chet's out, and Chet's basically out, and Caruso is basically out, and Hartenstein is out. So I do think we could get some extended Jared McCain, like mid to high 20s minutes. Wouldn't be surprising, because they just need kind of the injection of offense. So those are probably the names I'm keeping tabs on in the 4K range, but there's nothing else under there.
Okay. We go on over to the shooting guard position then. Ingram's 86, KBJ can be played here at 81. You have Castle at 73, DeRozan at 71.
Yeah, I mean, we basically just overlapped everything I wanted to talk about here. Ingram TBD, depending on Scotty. Even then, 86 is expensive, but like it would definitely be a look if there's no Scotty Barnes. Because I do think like RJ is probably somewhat limited to not like full limited, but on the second leg of a back to back, I wonder what they would cap his minutes at, if anything. KPJ looks great. Stefan Castle in tournaments for sure, getting no ownership at all. Again, no interest in DeRozan.
Again, from an ownership perspective, a lot of these guys we hit on, Reed and Pajemski are your top two. Tyree Eason does check in just below them at 35%. He's $6,300 here. And then Isaiah Joe at $5,500 had another night where he scored a bunch of points and could be asked to do so again tonight, though. A tougher matchup against Detroit here. How are you feeling about these two guys in the mid-range?
Yeah, I mean, Eason looks good. It hasn't like been the ceiling Tari Eason guy and maniac kind of like defensively that we're accustomed to, but we know that's in his bag. So I definitely, he's playing 30 minutes a night. That's not what we're used to from Tari Eason, right? He has never been this consistent in terms of minutes. So we know the ceiling is there. Still getting us the 30 plus fantasy points back-to-back nights with double doubles, even though he's still not making threes, which we knew was gonna cool off, but obviously has shot multiple months of 50+% from three. So there is a potential for him to get really hot. And obviously same thing goes for Isaiah Joe. Offensively, the guy is a firecracker. Not the easiest spot, obviously. 5,500 is not as cheap as it's been, but I have no objection that he has paid it off. He's gonna play 30 minutes tonight. No reason to think he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, nothing bad to say about Isaiah Joe necessarily. I'm probably lower than the field at 23% or 24%, but I have nothing bad to say about him.
Again, Reed Shepherd's here. From an other value perspective, does Merrill check any boxes for you tonight?
He can get really hot and score, but that's it. I mean,
he has it. I mean, like there's, could be shots. Maybe no Harden.
Sure. Sure. He's not exciting. He just can get really hot offensively, and that's where you make your money on Sam Merrill.
Okay. Anything else down here then?
No. No.
All right, because Dort's getting like 15% ownership. Cam Thomas is like 10%. So there's guys like that down here that are getting a little bit of ownership love.
I'm probably not gonna play Lou Dort at 15%.
Okay, that's fair. Again, I think it's more of like a body availability thing, probably with Lou Dort there. If you go to small forward, KD is 30%. He's your top price guy. He's also your highest roster guy at the position. We talked a little bit about the mid range. RJ Barrett, you're not sure with the back to back. Gason Wallace, I mean, brother, 27, 8, and 7. Got him with the dual positional eligibility here. GG talked with the minutes. Moody is your other ownership play, $5,900 there. Maybe Jalen Tyson tonight. Like, what do you think in this mid range?
Yeah, I think small forward is easily the worst position on the board.
Yeah,
easily. I was also a little surprised when I was looking at Durant's numbers today. Without Amen Thompson and Steven Adams, like they're fine. 28.6% usage is great. Under a fantasy point per minute without those two players, which I found a little bit interesting, especially considering, how prolific just a hooper he is. 0.97 for a guy at 8'8" is not great. He's over 9K on FanDuel as well. So, I have no objection because the position is bad. He's not my favorite. He's not my favorite Rocket, but if you're just asking me, positionally, it makes it easier to just plug Durant versus like a Şengün because small forward's so bad. So I'm good with Durant. I have no problem getting to Kevin Durant.
Sure.
But he's again. I think Alperen Şengün will get to. I think he's a better spend up. Cason Wallace is obviously fascinating. We've talked about him a lot. We spent a lot of time on him last night. Like, he just hasn't really had this opportunity before. And who knows if this is like he's running really hot.
Yeah.
If this is the type of player he can be. I mean, he's going to get a big contract eventually, and we're going to find that out like over the course of time. He doesn't have like great numbers without Chet Holmgren and company. He actually had really good numbers with Chet in the lineup. I don't have another one. Like, I don't have anything bad to say. If you get to Case Wallace, there's a 50 fantasy point ceiling. Like, great. Nothing bad to say necessarily. So I like Durant. I like Wallace. Kind of like moot about them. I think Moses Moody looks really good, just given how many players the Warriors have and how many they'll use. You know, they only have one of their 3 two-ways up, and they didn't use him for a singular minute last night. They don't have DeAnthony Melton, another guard, just, down. Yeah. So I think Moody's going to play a lot tonight, just kind of like he has. And in 3 of the last 4 games, he's at least given you 34 minutes. And then I do have a ton of interest in Jalen Tyson. Randomly, just not randomly, but like, guy almost goes for 40 actual, like less than a month ago.
Yeah.
And then he's basically out of the rotation.
Yeah, they get Mobley, they get Harden and Tyson, back to the bench.
So. And then you look at the numbers with Tyson, without Evan Mobley, without Donovan Mitchell, without Garland and DeAndre Hunter, who are obviously traded away. He's the team leader in usage, 30% usage, is over 100-minute sample, 1.1 fantasy points per minute on DraftKings, 1.05 on FanDuel. I am highly, highly intrigued just based on the player and the numbers with or without James Harden. I wouldn't necessarily think he starts. It's probably Merrill who gets the start over him, but I don't think it necessarily matters. If Harden plays, Harden, Allen, Merrill, Wade, I guess you could go Tyson as the 5th starter.
Yeah.
They could go Schroeder. Those would probably be the 2 most likely candidates. If Harden doesn't play, then we're really talking about the likelihood of both Schroeder and Tyson starting. So, yes, I do have a lot of interest in Jalen Tyson, and also conscious. I'm actually 5'2", so thank you for giving me the credit. I'm not 5'6". I'm 5'2".
Tyson is 15.5 points for.
Yeah, I mean it's a good number for a guy that I don't think the ownership is remote unless I have to refresh. Let's see. Where do we have the own? Yeah, I don't think that is anywhere close to sticking.
Yeah.
There's no way he ends up 3%.
I would agree. The numbers all for him kind of like from a prop perspective are appealing. So, $5,200. Again, we were playing his over rebounds for period. It's 5.5 rebounds and 15.5 points. What the lines are set at tonight for Jalen Tyson. It's pretty good at $5,200 there. Any other plays 5K and under for you?
5K and under. No, this position stinks.
Okay. Power forward. Şengün's 93. Do you want to talk about him here or center?
We can do center.
Okay. Then that leaves you with some guys that are questionable or doubtful. Then we go down to Jabari at 67, Bobby Poe at 64, Keegan 62, Guy Santos 61, Kuzma and Gigi Jackson here.
Yeah, I mean, this is Guy Santos' world, and we're just living in it. Don't have a lot else to say. If Horford is back, yes, but now they're potentially without Draymond, and I think that Horford's still going to come off the bench if Draymond plays. I guess in theory, one of those, like Santos has basically solidified his job, and then whether they go Draymond or Horford at the 5 is their decision. But yeah, I think Santos looks the best. Of all the active Warriors tonight, there's only 2 players averaging over a fantasy point per minute with like all the guys out or traded, and it's Pajemski and Guy Santos. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing really bad to say about the guy. He just another night of 5 fouls, and he wasn't even in foul trouble really. To like that was just he ended up with 5.
Yeah,
Just that's the one thing that he just has a problem with, like fouls. He just fouls a lot. So if he can once again, like he did last night, if he can just stay out of foul trouble, he's super aggressive. He's always going for steals. He's always going for blocks. He's always on the offensive glass. He's a good basketball player. That
against a bad team tonight.
Against a bad team, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of.
It's funny is that these are not great teams, technically given who's available for Golden State. It's like a 227 total. It's a close spread, so like you're kind of expecting a competitive game out of these 2 teams here.
Yeah, I think largely respect to Memphis being home, right, and like Golden State being on the second leg of a back-to-back without like a bunch of players. But they are still 4-point favorites, and never thought I'd say this, but Guy Santos is a big reason as to why. 39 minutes yesterday. Like, there's not a lot of players on the slate that can play are going to get you like 39 minutes tonight.
Draymond officially out tonight. We just got that.
Well, I'm happy that we just spent all that time talking Guy Santos because it's not the Guy Santos train ain't stopping here, John. It's just going to keep going.
Draymond officially out. I guess we'll see if there's any other news come down from that. Would you play any of these other 6K guys? I mean, we talked about Jabari and his like wildly efficient rebounding numbers. He's $6,700 and Portis. Matchup for him gets easier, obviously, without Evan Mobley. He had a really good scoring night last night. Murray had a bad scoring night the other day, but maybe he bounces back here. Would you venture into any of these other guys?
All like fine, not a lot of interest plays. Like Portis and Kuzma straight up split the 48 minutes. How do we assess anything front correlated with this team, right? Jericho Sims played all those minutes last night. Does that mean Jericho Sims plays tonight? Bobby Portis has played. Like, it's just so impossible. Large field stuff only, basically, for this whole entire tier. I think Jabari is probably the safest one, but even then, like, where does he rank on the totem? Like, if Reed Shepherd's in the starting lineup, that's an offensive-minded player that they're putting next to, like, an already multiple offensive-minded players, right? Like, I'm not saying he's given us a ceiling, so, like, salute to Jabari. He is far gone, like, surpassed, like, what I thought his ceiling could be when they're basically fully healthy, because they were last slate. Like,
we thought he was the guy who was going to be traded this offseason.
Yes, and like Durant and Şengün and Amen Thompson played big minutes, or not big minutes, but played last game and all had good games, and Jabari had the best. So I think none of them are like, it's a tier gap between Santos and the rest of them, especially with Draymond getting ruled out.
Yeah,
dude, it's like we've talked about this a lot with like Golden State and how scary it is. They have 9 available bodies tonight.
Takes us to Al Horford then, who's 30% roster tonight.
He is over $1,000 cheaper on FanDuel. I think he's like the best FanDuel play of the night at that price. I had a hard time like I've said it a lot. I think Al Horford has done some unwashing over the last like month and a half. He obviously just went Super Saiyan the other day and hit 6 threes, and like,
he has those games, right? Where randomly he goes out there and
he just does that. More than anybody. Like, he's done that for Boston.
Dude won a playoff game for them 1 year. Like this.
So like, I'm definitely okay getting to basically anything available Golden State now, because they have 9. One of them is Malivi Lyons, who I don't know if we have to talk about, but he is a power forward at $3,200.
Yeah.
And like, how much does that mean they're going to play? And they don't play Gary Payton a lot on back-to-back. So what does that mean for everybody else, So, yeah.
Yeah, 4 of the top 10 ownership guys now are on Golden State. So, there's that for sure. So after Horford, then do you go anywhere else? I mean, there's obviously the Memphis guys who I know you don't want to play. There's the Sacramento guys that I know you don't want to play. You do have the Thunder if there ends up not being Chat, which again he's doubtful. So you have Kenrich and Jalen Williams, both here power forward eligibility, both logging in almost 40%.
Yeah, it's the OKC guys pretty definitively. Like, it's hard to. I think whoever starts is probably the better play. They could, I guess, in theory, start them both. I don't know if they will. They will overlap at times. I suspect Jay will starts with Dern on the other side, but I guess we'll see. They're both well over a fantasy point per minute this year. Jay will, without SGA, without Chet, without all those all the players that they have, is the team leader in assist percentage and second in rebounding percentage. So I was trying to find Jalen Williams props earlier today when the news first came out and they weren't available. So
yeah,
something to consider, just assists, rebounds. He is really good at both those things because he is a very skilled big man that just plays on a team that only needs him for limited minutes. So I think Jay Will looks really good. I think Kenrich looks really good, who's cheaper. I think they are better than all the other players.
Props now. Jalen Williams, 7.5 rebounds. Jalen Williams assists prop. We don't have point prop for him. We're at 10.5. So they got him for 10.5 points, 7.5 rebounds for Jalen Williams there. How does it sound?
Sounds pretty good if he's starting. I mean, it sounds pretty good regardless.
It's like 18 plus points, just fantasy points with just those two stats alone. So
yeah. He is good. He is very good at both those.
Okay. Anything else here at power forward?
No, I mean, we didn't really give Precious thought.
You're just seemingly unsure what to do with them. So,
well, because he just doesn't. There's no guarantee 33 minutes are on the table. It's just been all year. So
he's not getting a ton of ownership either. There's only 10%, but that's because it's so top heavy with the
three
Williams and Santos are all over 30%. Jalen Williams is 44. So.
And Horford because you could put Şengün because you could play him at multi-position almost 30.
Yep. All right, let's go to center then. If we do go to the top of the center position again, it's the Williams and Williams for OKC with the dual eligibility. And then it is Şengün at 27%. So he is more popular than Wemby tonight by about 10% in ownership. Are you playing Şengün at the discount and the higher ownership, or would you take the leverage on a smaller slate with Wemby here?
I am very bullish on Şengün. I think I wrote in the playbook, like, I'm never going to tell you not to play Victor Wembanyama. That would be malpractice. Like, he went 6 of 16, looked terrible for a half of basketball, and scored 63 fantasy points. Yeah, that dude's good. Şengün just kind of checks all the boxes here. Was on the floor at the end of the game, which is good to see. They've kind of taken him off the floor at times lately. Almost triple-doubled. 37% assist percentage, which is first on the team without Amen Thompson and Steven Adams. Over second on the team in rebound percentage behind Clint Capella, who's barely going to play. Sacramento's 28th in rebounding and 29th in defensive rating. Guy has a 24% usage rate and 1.36 fantasy points per minute without Adams and Thompson, leads the team.
So would you like the over 6.5 assists on Şengün here this evening then?
Yeah, it's in the bet tracker. I put that in this morning. Actually.
Look at that. There it is.
I bet that this morning. That was the first thing I did.
It's called a tee up here, James.
Yeah, I did. That is in the bet tracker. You can find it at fantasyalarm.com. 6.5 assists. I mean, a 37% assist percentage is you're amongst the league leaders in assists. like over a span of a season, right? Like that is ridiculous. But we've known this. He is a hub player. They use him as a hub, and it only gets greater when Amen Thompson's not on the floor. So I think
the one game that Thompson didn't play this year, he had 11 assists. So
I think he is my favorite play over 9K tonight. I think Şengün would be. I wouldn't be against like betting a triple double. I wouldn't be against betting 30 plus points. Like there's a lot of routes that Şengün just absolutely demolishes the Kings tonight.
Sure. There's so much value that ownership is obviously then being depressed by the mid range. Jared Allen at $7,200. No Mobley, no Mitchell, maybe no Harden. I mean, this could be a stealing game from him.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote this before Donovan Mitchell was rolled out. He's 1.45 fantasy points without Mobley, Hunter, and Garland, right? Like just take off two of them traded, and Mobley's obviously out. 1.45 fantasy points per minute. And then he gets a team that is 26th in rebounding. Oh, it's teeing you up. I know that rebounding.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? That's fine. He is 10.5 rebounds, ladies and gentlemen, plus money on the line tonight for
plus money at 10.5.
Yeah,
interesting.
Slightly. It's not like a huge bonus there, but it's a little bit.
Plus money's plus money, John. But they're 26th in rebounding and 23rd defensive rating for a guy over 1.4 fantasy points per minute. And I will say, for Jared Allen, I kind of want James Harden to play.
Sure, just because how well they've been playing.
Dude,
together.
they've been so good together.
I guess you do want some sort of facilitator for this offense, right? Like you take Mitchell and Harden off. Not that Schroeder can't, facilitate the offense, but Harden's a better playmaker. So
Harden's an elite. I mean, that's what he is, right? That's what they went out and got him for. They're like, hey, Garland wants to hog the ball, and Harden can facilitate run the offense better. So I kind of want Harden, and like a kind of crippled Harden, who we don't know if he can shoot. So if he can't shoot, then Jared Allen's going to be getting a lot of pick and roll action, and
you could cut Harden's hands off and he'd shoot the basketball.
That's fair.
But I do like Jared Allen a lot, and he's just 10%. No one's playing Jared Allen tonight for the most part. Jalen Duren is slightly more than him at 15% from an ownership perspective. He's obviously a little bit more expensive, but his matchup getting significantly easier if no Hartenstein, no Chet. Not to knock Jalen Williams at all, but like much better spot for Duren here.
It is a good spot for Duren. I have no objection at all.
Okay. Anything on Reno?
Yeah, he's the only king I wrote up today. I mean, he's a fantasy point per minute guy without Sabonis and Levine this year.
Yeah, he's a guy that also is just a really aggressive rebounder. So
he is a very aggressive dude. The only problem is, again, he plays 40 minutes in a game, they lose by 100. And then they're getting blown out in the Kings game or in the Spurs game, and he gets taken off the floor. And then Precious Achiuwa goes nuts, and he gets taken off the floor, and they run one big against Memphis. And so
I just wonder if that's because Memphis didn't have a big themselves, so they just kind of like
they went Precious.
They went smaller, right? Houston has a big, so you would think Reno should be on the floor here.
What if Precious is dominating again? Are they going to run them both out for extended minutes? It's going to be like a either or situation again, right? Or
sure,
that seemingly. They start them both, and then whoever's cooking, or not, they just decide, actually, we don't want to play either of you guys, and give Drew Eubanks minutes. So
good amount of rebound chances for him. I didn't bet it yet, but it's at 8.5 again, like it was the other day. He's gone 13, 12, and 14 the last 3 games, 17, 19, 23 rebound chances in those games.
It's a lot.
He's converting. He's converting a lot of them as well. So not an official play, but a hard look at Maxime Reynaud's over 8.5 rebounds tonight.
Anthony asked KPJ or Cade. I would actually lean KPJ.
Just save the money and take the matchup.
Yeah. I think I would lean KPJ.
Okay. Horford obviously is getting ownership at 53 here. The Williamses are down here. Would you play anything else at center?
Yes, I would. I would play Jakob Poeltl.
Okay.
And I was looking at some Toronto stuff, and from the Bucks game the other day where he started and he played 26 minutes. And he actually played 26 minutes, and I'm not convinced that he would play he would have played the final 4 minutes of the game. But he checked out with Quickly and with Barrett and with Brandon Ingram at that 4:24 mark, which means on the table, Jakob Poeltl, if that game was more competitive, the opportunity was there for him to possibly get 30 minutes. And I think sometimes we overblow like a matchup and we like, well, Wemby had 6 blocks. Why would we want to play? Well, like Jalen Duren also had like 50 fantasy points in that game. And the game before, Maxime Reynaud against Wemby, who dominated that game, had a double-double. And the game before that, who double-doubled against the Spurs? Like someone else double-doubled against Wemby. Like Victor Wembanyama is a great defender, but that doesn't mean you can't use players.
Sure.
We've said it all year, like all those Houston matchups, like Şengün had like 50 bomb against them because they run their offense through them. So like it's a really good price. The 26 minutes kind of looked like they could have been more based on when he checked out of the game, and 30 looked like it was on the table. There's reports that his back is like feeling great, and you know that obviously doesn't mean it can't flare up and whatnot, but pretty good fantasy player, almost a fantasy point per minute this year. 26 minutes, like it's
He's the other center over 20% ownership tonight. So it's three guys in the 4K range: Jalen Williams, Kendrick Williams, and Jakob Poeltl.
And Jakob Williams.
What did I say?
No, I was just being stupid. It's all. Yeah. I think all three of them look super good. Poeltl being the lowest owned, maybe like contrarian play. I think I don't think there's anything definitive that says like Jalen or Kendrick would definitely play more minutes than Jakob Poeltl tonight.
Sure. If we are doing a core play, start at Jalen and Şengün and go where?
Santos.
Yeah, Santos is what, Ford?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got for a guard today?
What do we have for a guard
Reed
today?
Shepherd? Reed Shepherd, right? Probably. Gotta be Reed Shepherd.
Doesn't have to be, but yeah, he looks good. Like Pajemski, KPJ. I think they look great.
I just play them both. You'll do this. Who's cover your playbook? All right. Porter, Shepherd, Williams, Şengün, Santos, almost $5,600 a player left. Small forward, guard, utility. You heard us shout out a few other names that we like here today as well to help you build that lineup. This is just an example. Make sure you get in the Discord, check out the playbook, the award-winning Fantasy Alarm 2025 best written content recognized.
Scotty Barnes in, by the way. Sorry.
Ooh, there you go. Recognized by the FSGA. We also won the FSWA for best radio show, along with the FSGA award for best radio show. So shout out to Howard and crew. Sometimes you hear myself and Grande on that Fantasy Alarm show as well. Both winning awards in the industry for best radio show. And we have the best written content apparently in the industry as well. Not apparently, we knew that, but now
apparently, what are you talking about?
Now recognized by the industry as the best written content among the industry. So check it out, fantasyalarm.com/YouTube. Promo code YT50 will save you 50% off that first month. It's $20 for the first month to cancel anytime. It's access to everything on site, not just our NBA content, but all of our betting, all of our seasonal, all of our DFS content for 50% off that first month. Again, we went 8-0 with our picks on Monday. Would have paid for your first month subscription just like that. Guys, we do appreciate you tuning in. We'll have the preview show tonight for tomorrow's slate. We'll catch you later.